Welcome to the Infinite and Beyond, the MIT Alumni Show. I'm your trusted host, Rob Kalwarowski, MIT Class of 2010, world-renowned executive coach, author, and speaker. Each week, we are sharing the stories with our friends and classmates, fellow MIT alumni who've taken action to shape the world. We'll share what we've learned, top strategies, and bring our community together to help everyone achieve our goals. No, this show is not officially affiliated with MIT, so any views expressed on this show are of the host and guest only. This show is designed to build a community that trusts, connects, and shares with each other so we can all take action towards a better world. Let's get rolling. Welcome to the Infinite and Beyond MIT Alumni Show. Of course, I'm your host, Rob Kalwarowski, and we have a special guest, as always, another amazing class of 2010, someone who has a degree in brain and cognitive science, who's now the entrepreneur in residence at the Martin Trust Center for MIT Entrepreneurship. Chris Moses is with us. Chris, how are you?
Good, man. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining us on the show today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Thanks for putting this together. I think this is like an awesome gift to the entire class.
It's been a lot of fun, and obviously we have to acknowledge that Camo Jern was the catalyst for this podcast. Shout out to Camo, but also he connected us as well, so that's amazing. Now, Chris, let's talk. So we want to hear. Can you tell us what's been going on from you since you graduated in 2010 all the way to returning back to MIT today?
Yeah, 15 years, man. It's been a while. Let's see. So I was actually originally class of 2009. So I spent a super senior year, probably a terrible idea, honestly. It was very expensive. Paid my way through college like with loans, but wanted to do something entrepreneurial. And so during college was working with still a close friend of mine, Leo Selly, who started this group called Sana. And what we developed was sort of like a volunteer research group, but we made an open source cell phone based telemedicine system. And I wanted to work on that. That was like my thing. And so spent a fifth year, basically half time, just so that my loans didn't go into repayment, and kept working on that in all of my free time. And then I was going to be a TA for this class called Next Lab that had spun out of. It's like right before graduation, the lecturer was like, yeah, sorry, I actually don't have funding for a TA. And I was like, oh my God, I have all these loans. Like, what am I going to do? So then I got a job at MIT OpenCourseWare and got the job after I had already graduated and like went home for the summer. So I did that for a while, was thinking about med school, ended up deciding I wanted to be more on the business side of healthcare and became a consultant. So worked for a little German consulting company called Simon Kutcher and Partners, did pricing and strategy consulting. Did that for a year, like learned a ton, first like 3 or 4 months. And then I was like, this is not for me. I'm not super enjoying this. And so that next spring, I went to a hackathon called Hacking Medicine and spun out an idea from that. There's a doctor that pitched this problem around patient no-shows. And I was like, you know what? That's not sexy, but that sounds like a real problem. And so we spun a team out of that, ended up getting into the first cohort of Delta V, which is now MIT's capstone accelerator. Back then, it was called the Founder Skills Accelerator. And Bill Ollett, he's got this book, Disciplined Entrepreneurship. If you're an entrepreneur, read the book. It's amazing. But he was writing the book that summer. He was like writing the chapters. He'd send us a PDF and be like, all right, guys, like here's what we're learning this week. So went through that, did another accelerator, raised some money. And our solution to the no-show problem was predicting patient no-shows. And so built a team, ran that for 4 years, never got that big, and ended up selling to Athena Health in 2016. They're an EHR company, so I worked there in a handful of roles for 3 years. And then when my second daughter was born, quit to take some time off and then start another company. And so I worked on this next project in patient payments for like 6 or 8 months. Never found like a good economic buyer for that. Spun that down right as COVID started. And then after sort of things opened up, I was like, you know what, it's been a year. Let's go get a job again. And worked for this amazing company called Alliday. They're a venture-backed healthcare company doing ACOs, did that for 4 years, and then quit last April, which we could get into more if you want. And then became an EIR, Entrepreneur in Residence at the Trust Center for Entrepreneurship last summer. And I've been doing that since then. It's been an absolute blast.
So tell me more a little bit about like, what do you do as an entrepreneur in residence?
Yeah, so I'm part-time. I'm there 2 days a week, partially by design. I moved 2 hours west of the Cambridge area last summer. I joke because we bought the house and like I've always worked remotely, right? And then I started at MIT the week that we moved. And so I got the local job right when we moved away. But yeah, there are 3 full-time EIRs and then like a small number of part-time EIRs. And the role is really to serve the student body from freshmen all the way through to MBA to executive MBAs who are mid-career. And we do a lot of coaching and mentoring. We run a lot of entrepreneurship programs on campus, and a lot of us teach as well. And so I'll give lectures here and there. I help run the first year seminar for freshmen in entrepreneurship in the fall.
It's amazing. We got to talk because I have a book coming out in the fall that's right up the alley of executives and entrepreneurs.
Yeah, man. Like there's gaps in like all of our knowledge and skills. And that's really what like the EIR is there for. And like any coach and mentor, right, is to help you see the blind spots and ask the hard questions and help you think of things from a new angle. Or like, you're not doing that. Like, you got to be doing this right now. Like, forget about that other thing.
Chris, are you working on any of your own side projects right now?
Yeah, I would say I've always got something in the oven. I did have a healthcare project that I was working on for the past 4 months or so that I recently stepped away from. And like, I've spent my career in healthcare.
Yes.
And I'm going through a bit of like a transition period right now where I've decided that I want to move away from healthcare into regenerative agriculture. It's been a growing interest and passion of mine over the past year or two. And last summer, I was like, you know what? I'm not going to do any healthcare companies again. Either found them or worked for one. And I met my co-founder for a period of time, who's just an absolute amazing person. And we were going to resurrect the idea that I was working on in between Alliday and Athena. Yeah, I didn't have the right team or technology at the time. And I got roped back in. I was just like having such a good time working with her. I was like, man, this is going to be great. And then in January, it just like about a month and a half ago, I would say, everything sort of gelled all at once. I was like, I don't feel like I'm on my path. Yes. And while I absolutely love working with you, I think I'm going to step back into like an EIR role on this rather than like a co-founder role. And so I've got a few ideas in Regen Ag. I'm actually doing some consulting in Regen Ag as well. But I'm kind of in this like exploration and play mode, right? Like sense out exactly what is the thing that I want to work on next.
I love this. This is so that gel moment. It's something I talk about and I work with my clients, right? And even I had one, I don't know, about 3 or something weeks ago that, but it's all of the work sort of just coalesced at this one time. And you know this, and everybody out there, something has happened for you at this, like exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Right? And you're just like, it's all clear now. And it was jumbled in my mind before, and it had all the pieces. And then like I did a breathwork session. My wife's a breathwork facilitator, and I was doing some of the deep work. And, you know, like I'm part of the speaking program, and I'm obviously like I launched my own business, and I'm like, I had a book and a proposal, and I talked to a publisher and like all these things. And it was like, oh, no, I need to rewrite the book. And now I need to make this pivot because it all makes sense now. And so I'd love to hear a little bit about your moment, like what led up to it. And then how did you realize that regenerative agriculture was your thing?
Yeah. It's funny how like that gel moment, it like happens quickly, right?
Yes.
Like very quickly for better or for worse. It was definitely a little bit of a whiplash moment, which was the bad part of it. But I think so long as we have, we have the courage to like have the difficult conversations, it can lead to good places. Yeah, for me, I think regenerative agriculture actually started by watching a documentary called Kiss the Ground a couple years ago. It's how a lot of people are learning about it, which is amazing. It's like The Purpose. It's an incredible documentary. I think everyone should watch it. They have a second one in a series of 3. Second one's called Common Ground. And I actually ran a private screening of that at MIT last September, and then ran a panel session with industry experts on the panel. And it's really just been a way for me to like create prototype experiences so that I can better sense out what I'm most interested and passionate about. I think without those experiences, like it's been hard, and I'm really trying to like realign my career like to my value system. So, I'll say it's been like a slow burn, right? Like a slow move in that direction through a series of experiences and conversations. And then that gelling moment, whenever it was mid-February, was like, got an email from a Regen Ag startup I had been talking to, was like interested in launching a new product. They were like, oh my God, like, would you be available to help us like figure out this product? And, that's going to be a prototype experience for me to go talk to a bunch of farmers and industry players and experts and, lean on these skills that I've built up over time. And then I had a conversation with Paul, the executive director at the Trust Center. He's an incredible mentor. And then an old CEO from a earlier healthcare accelerator that I was in. Like all those 3 things happened within like 5 days of each other. And all of a sudden it just like clicked. And I was like, oh my God, I should be doing something different than this startup. So it was a hard transition, but I think the right one for me.
I hope you see the transition, right, is like it's never this cut and dry and easy, right? But I hope now that you see clarity that it's just focusing on that future, right? And it's like I'll give you my example, right? Like I have to rewrite my book. So it's going to cost me a fair amount and time and money to do this. But it also now aligns. I mean, it was always what I was doing. It just like I got sidetracked by some other stuff, and then it all just became clear. And I think you see that clarity now. And so just keep in tune with where you're going, and that'll help you just navigate through these, the transition period, which it'll wrap up soon. It's not like something that takes forever, but it's so common is as folks take that step, you have to get to that next level of homeostasis, and the step is hard, and it's lonely also, maybe not specifically for you, but for a lot of folks, because it's like, hey, maybe I have to leave this. Like for you, it's like I got to leave healthcare. So all those healthcare people that that you talk to, that you're friends with, that whatever, now it's like, sorry, right? And it's like it feels lonely, and it feels like you're all by yourself. But then in 3 to 6 months, your people will start, you'll gain it again, right? And so the transition, it's hard, but on the other side is just the next level of your life.
Yeah. And I think that like for me, and I imagine for you, like this stuff takes courage, and it's courage because like this shit is scary. Like nobody can predict the future, but you've got to make the right decisions for you that like align with you. And I think that's been one of my big lessons learned is like, it's going to take courage, and you can't please everybody. It's impossible. And so the best we can do is like try to maintain relationships, treat people the right way. But some people may dislike you, or you're going to create friction in various ways, but you've got to have the courage to like take the right step forward.
That part there, Chris, is it's getting to that clarity in such a rock solid way that you take those steps. And the reason that people try to hold you back or hold you where you were. Often it's they're not experiencing growth. And so either they're stuck in their frame of reference, which is like, well, Chris is great at healthcare and like he's going to ruin his career if he doesn't stay in healthcare. Like that's how my dad thinks. When I started becoming a coach, he was like, well, you just torched your MIT degree that cost you like $200,000. And it's like, that's a perspective, right? It's not one that I'm going to choose to agree with, right? But it's just right as you're going to find the folks that support you. And it also, right, is there's a lot of people in everyone's life, right? And I literally have an Excel document that I sent to all my clients in this moment, and I can send it to you. And it's a relationship audit tool. And it's basically like, put everybody's name that you spend some amount of time with, like, reasonable, not like just like some guy that you've talked to a month ago, right? But it's like, are they supporting you? Do they give you energy? Do you want to change the relationship? And so an example for this, right, is whenever my dad says to me, how's business? I always go, it's great. And then we move on, right? And it's not great, right? Like, I don't really have many clients. I need more clients. Like, all these things are going on, but I don't want his opinion on that. And so it's like, that's the crafting. Or sometimes it's, I need to cut this person out because they're no longer serving me. But there's a range, like there's a wide range, right? And then you're also going to find the folks who are, I'm all in on Chris. I'm supporting him. I'm going to help him move forward. And then it's like, how do I spend more time with that person?
Yeah, yeah. And I love it's so many thoughts, but I love that you brought up the MIT degree, right? Because I think we went to an incredible university. And to be clear, like I actually transferred to MIT. I did not get into MIT as a freshman. I applied early action. I got deferred to regular. Then I got waitlisted and they didn't accept anybody off the waitlist. I was pissed. I was hell-bent and I moved to Boston. I went to Boston University and I transferred. Anyways, sidetrack. We went to this incredible university and I think it can put a lot of pressure on us as alumni to follow like a pretty well-worn path. Doctor, lawyer, McKinsey consultant, like you name it, right? There's probably a laundry.
Raymond James.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Quant, investment banking. And it's like, man, if you love that stuff, I am so supportive, right? Get after it. But I think for so many of us, like we had this great experience and you know what? Like we don't want to do those things. Like we want to start the coaching business, or we want to start a food company, or we want to go into a service industry that's not consulting. And that's okay. And I think that's the thing that I've been grappling with the next thing. It's like, yeah, Regen Ag, I think is directionally correct, but like what specifically? There's a lot of different ways to go about it in both tech and non-tech. And so encourage everyone to like have the courage to be disliked and figure out what it is you like, you dig, and just get after it.
When you said, Chris, that this startup that you're joining gives you a chance to prototype how this career would look like, I love that. I call it micro experiments, but it's exactly what you're saying. It's exactly the same thing, right? And I always talk about it with folks. I'm like, what is the cheapest, fastest way you can experience whatever it is? Go do it. And then if it doesn't feel good, try something else.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I do a lot of reading, always trying to learn. And the book that I got that specific phrasing from is How to Design Your Life from the Stanford D School. And it's an awesome book. And I think that concept is so valuable. I think we can have multiple careers in our lives, right? Like the way that the world is now, like everyone's going to have like 3 or 4 careers over their working life. And the way that you can make those transitions is by seeking out those prototype experiences. And they can start with as simple as a conversation, right? Like interviews. What's it like to work there? Another book I read recently, Job Moves, created by the guy who is the co-founder or co-creator of the Jobs to Be Done framework. And it's a fantastic book and very similar advice. You got to go out, figure out what it is you enjoy that are like pings that make you feel really good, mind mapping, do a bunch of things to figure out like what might meet those, and then try to figure out ways to give yourself more data to figure out, is it aligned? Is this actually enjoyable to me?
I love this. Chris, I got to ask you, right, is like, given that you're coaching just an immense amount of entrepreneurs, like, what do you see as some of the most common problems that they're having?
Good question. Let me think about that for a second. I think we skip steps. So Bill Olet is the managing director, the professor of practice that runs the Trust Center. And in Disciplined Entrepreneurship, his book, he has sort of the 24 steps to starting a business. And, it's been aggregated from like tons of books and teaching and experiences, right? And it's easy to skip steps. We'll have people come in who, like I was talking to the CEO of a gaming company who's been running his gaming company for like 10 years, worked with Riot Games, released a game. And, it's easy to skip steps for even someone as experienced as that. The other common one is jumping too quickly to build. Like, I'm a product person. It's like, I look at a problem like, boom, I know exactly what the solution is to that. But it's like, bullshit.
I do that too.
You're right. We all do. And so, especially if you got that engineering mind, and we got to like slow down a little bit in the sense that we don't want to just jump to building. We want to go validate market demand. And the best way to validate market demand is pre-sales. Like, will someone open their wallet and actually give you money because this is a strong enough pain point for them? And they like the shape of the solution you've come up with? Or barring that, like, go do a bunch of PMR, primary market research. We talk to people, find the watering holes where they exist and hang out, and go interview them and like deeply understand their lives, how they spend money now, like how are they solving the problem they're trying to solve. A lot of people skip that step too, the validating demand through primary market research.
I love that. And I guess, Chris, like with all the, like with the AI and all just the chaos that's going on, what are some of the qualities of the entrepreneurs that are succeeding? Like, what are they doing to get through this mess that we're currently going through?
Yeah. Resiliency and like never giving up. I don't think it's changed, really. We were in New York in January, first start MIT. It's a entrepreneurship class in IAP. And one of the founders that was on a panel, MIT alumni, founder of, I think it's Firefly AI, the Zoom recorder, that was his 7th pivot. So he started on something complete 100% different, right? And never gave up. And pivoted one after another, and just kept going, right? Like, if you don't stop, there's nothing other than to succeed. No other way to go. So I think being resilient, and Bill talked about like being anti-fragile. So how do you take these difficulties, whether it's AI or, the down market? Like, it's really hard to raise funding right now for a venture-backed startup, and the terms you're getting might be shit. And so how do you live through that experience and actually come out stronger?
Well, the folks that start companies and down markets tend to do better anyways.
You got to focus on building a real business. Like, I think when you're flush with capital, you just make a lot of bad, like, messy decisions. Like, you don't execute as much or as well as you should. And when you don't have a lot of money, like, operational excellence is key. And like building a real business that has a real customer that pays you for solving a problem. That's the fundamentals. So those kinds of people and companies like get it right.
I love it. Now, Chris, I would love you to distill all of the experience you've had and just give our folks out there, our fellow 2010s, maybe your top 3 pieces of advice for, it could be professional or personal success.
Yeah. I think that first one is having the courage to be disliked. You can't please everybody. It's just impossible. And if you're trying to, it means you're actually trying to live up to their expectations. And there's a misalignment there. And so That's really the first one. Like, can't please everybody. Someone's going to dislike you, and you got to figure out what it is you love doing and get after it. Like, regardless of whether or not someone's going to praise you or reward you or dislike you. The second one I say is like closely related would be to seek fulfillment and not achievement. And you probably heard this before, but related things like don't seek recognition, right? Seeking achievement and recognition just turns us into these like hungry ghosts where we just have this like insatiable appetite where we're like never satisfied. We're always trying to get to the next thing. And we tell ourselves, and like, by the way, I've been there, right? It's like, I've been there.
We all have as MIT 2010s, we all have.
Yeah, right. And I think that we tell ourselves like, once I sell a company or once I raise that money or once I get that promotion or I get that role, then I'll be happy. Then I'll be satisfied. And it's like, man, it's so fleeting. Especially the product manager, right? It's like, once I release that product, it's so fleeting and it's not what's important. And it doesn't keep you like happy and fulfilled and satisfied. So you got to find ways to seek fulfillment rather than achievement, which takes courage. And then the third one I would say is we've all got feelings of inferiority. It is a natural human thing. I read this book called The Courage to be Disliked, rereading it again. And it's based on this guy, Alfred Adler, who is a contemporary of Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. And it's just fantastic. And what's important, like, yes, we all have feelings of inferiority. I still do have, for years, right? But what do you do with that? And the healthy thing to do with that is to identify, like, what is it going to take for me to hit my goal? And then to take action, right? Because like only action towards that is going to set you free. And if you don't take action, then we like cover up our inadequacies that are actually there through things like bragging or like associating ourselves with, superior people in various ways. We just like shove those feelings down and we like don't put in the right effort and work to close gaps in knowledge and skills to get us there. And then we have an inferiority complex. And again, it's like, I've been there. And so I think that's just like important for everyone to know. It's like, we all have feelings of inferiority, and what you do with those feelings is what's really critical.
So as part of my work, also as part of my own healing journey, I work with internal family systems, which is a therapy modality. And basically what you're describing, right, is the same mechanisms. And you can think of IFS as like the devil and angel on your shoulder, or if you've watched Inside Out, the girl has this control panel and these little characters, they're pressing buttons at various moments, right? And what I help people do is getting back to you being the one at the helm in your own mind. And so that inferiority or that imposter syndrome or the not good enough or the I don't deserve, that's a part of you that was created when you were a child. Or even it can be your parents, it can be, ancestral trauma, like this is real stuff, right? But you can heal that and change that. And so when you said, Chris, that it's it's fulfillment over achievement. Why I said that we've all experienced this as MIT folks is we all, exactly what you said, we all felt that inferiority. And there's a part of us that comes in and says, hey, Rob, I'll protect you. And I'll do this by getting you in MIT and by getting A's and by being the big dog, right?
Yep.
And that's why we were brought in.
We listened to that voice and we busted our ass to get in to satisfy those voices. Yeah.
Yeah. And the pivot, right, is when we give those voices love and compassion, because they're trying to help us, but they don't know the full picture. They're stuck in the past. They think you're 7 years old, or like I have one that thinks I'm 3 years old. And it's when you give that part love and compassion and you open the dialogue, it can relax. And sometimes it'll even change roles, like it'll do something else. But that's the real switch for folks versus, what you learn in some other therapy modalities where it's like, no, you're just thinking illogically. Basically, how I describe this is, imagine, Chris, you went to your wife and you're like, you're having an argument and you're just like, hey, you're illogical. Like, what is she going to say to you? Right. And so it's the same thing in our minds is you need to be the leader of your team that's in your mind. And you need to put them on things when you need them. Like that part of us that works hard and strives, like when you're working on that new prototype or you're working on that business, you put them in. Hey, coach, put me in, right? But when you're on holidays or you're striving for that next job because, maybe you feel like, oh, I don't deserve it, but you take him out and you put yourself in.
Yeah. And we have so many of those voices that are like always there. And yeah, I think this is critical. It's life-changing, right? To see it, to identify it, and to understand it. And it's like, it's all there as a self-protective mechanism, right? Like these chattering voices are there to try to protect us and help us. Like they're serving some goal, but they may not be helpful and they may never go away. Like this is one thing I'm learning.
They do not go away, right? So this is another thing, right? So first thing is this. You're right. Technically, we have infinite parts. Now, most people, like I talked to my therapist about this, most people, like you'll probably have somewhere in the 5 to 10 where you're like getting them off in, but most people eventually, as much as they expand and do deeper work, they're going to get to 20 or 30, something like that, right? Obviously a number is hard, but it's more like that. The other thing is what you said, right? Is there's this in some communities, often in the psychedelic community, they're like, the goal is ego death. They don't die, right? Yeah, they'll go away. Like if you do like high doses of psychedelics, yeah, it'll go away for
Temporarily,
however long, but then it comes back, right? And so it's building that trust and that relationship with it and making it feel safe to trust you. That's the switch. And if folks out there, like if this is resonating with you at all, first is you can reach out to me. I have a 4-minute track that'll help you get started. I will send it you for free. Just rob@robkalvarowski.com. Or you can, if you want to engage longer or whatever, we can book a call and we can talk about it, right? But it's learning that, which allows, for me at least, not to feel like I need to be courageous. I'm just doing things now because I see it and I feel clear and I'm like, that's right. And I'm going.
Yeah, I love that. And I've done exercises as well where you identify these limiting paradigms, these things that are just clawing at you and like holding you back from what you actually want to be doing or achieving, and then reframing new ones as empowering paradigms. And like just yesterday, I printed out my empowering paradigm and a set of sort of principles to help me live that, right? And stay on path. And like my empowering paradigm is I will write my own story because I haven't necessarily before. Like things have been given to me, like getting into healthcare was sort of given to me and I decided to get on that path. And now I'm trying to chart my own path and I want to be writing my own story.
Chris, when you had that gel moment, who did you become? That's the person who writes his own story.
I think everything quieted down and I think I just became like who I wanted to be. And it was just this crazy Zen moment. I was like so Zen and relaxed for like 2 or 3 days and confident. It was fantastic. And of course, like I don't feel that every day. So, I think that clarity was so important to feel and sense. And then it's just putting in the work, right? Doing whatever it's going to take to get on that path and stay on that.
So if you can, try to start your morning remembering, like you can visualize it. You can sit there and write it out as notes, however you want to do this. But remember that clarity and that Zen feeling of you being you in that deepest sense. because that's going to start. One is it's going to change your brain. And then two is it will, of course, you'll do those things because that's who you are. That's who you are now.
I love that. I will try that. I enjoy meditating. I don't do it as much as I should, but I think that's exactly the right step. It's like you got to quiet the mind and see like what it's going to take to get there and like become that.
You already are that. You have to step into that.
Yeah. I appreciate that. It's a great reminder.
Awesome, folks. We had some fun today. I always love conversations like this. I mean, this is why I'm a coach, right? Is like, I love these type of deep conversations. Now, Chris, I got to ask you before we get you out here. One is, how would you like to support the community in achieving their goals as fellow alums?
Yeah. If you've got a company that you're working on or you want to start, really at any phase, like I've got an idea, what's the next step? Or I'm working on this, now what's the next step? I live and breathe this stuff every day and I find it so fun and rewarding. Feel free to reach out. You know, this is a safe place. I'm an EIR at the Trust Center. We can grab time and chat. You could shoot me an email with cmoses@mit.edu.
Amazing, folks. And Chris, how can our community support you?
Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out what's next, something around regenerative agriculture or food. So I would say if you've got any interest or connections there, reach out. I'm in that prototyping and conversation and exploration phase. So want to have as many conversations as possible.
Well, I just will say, if you want to come down here, there are farmers all the way down the street you could talk to.
Man, I would love to. Man, hit me up. I'll be in Costa Rica. Absolutely.
That's right. Alrighty, folks. Amazing. You can send Chris an email, cmoses@mit.edu. I've dropped his LinkedIn in the podcast notes as well as his Instagram, so you can check him out there. Chris, thank you so much for joining us today. It was an absolute pleasure, and this was some fun discussion.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much, Rob.
Everybody listening, hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll see you all next week.
Take care.